Hey, this is Rich O'Neill with Elite Functional Performance here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And today I'm here with my friend Dr. Mitra, and we're going to talk to you about pickleball. So Dr. Mitra has had a background as a tennis player and has recently transitioned into playing pickleball. And what we're going to be talking to you about today are some of the things that happen in all overhead racket sport type situations, and coming up with some strategies that's going to help you prepare your body for more of that impact. All right, so for our first movement here, we're gonna focus on some shoulder mobility. We're gonna focus on that using a piece of elastic. Now, your elastic can be a standard tube that has the classic plastic handles, if something like this looks familiar, or we can also perform that exercise using a standard piece of TheraBand that you may get from a physical therapy clinic, or if you've had any sort of, have gone to the doctor for some pain or stuff like that. So any elastic is gonna be useful for this next one. And what we're gonna do here is get set up where we have an overhand grip, and we're gonna get into a tall upright spine position here. So we're thinking about keeping the chin out of the chest. And here we're just gonna bring the band overhead, down the spine, and then back over. And what we're thinking about doing here is having the ball moving from the front of the socket in the shoulder to behind, and then back over. When we look at some of the positions that we find ourselves in standard life, we might be finding more ball in front socket. We might be finding the arms both out in front of the body here. So now we're starting to bring the arms behind. Think about the ball getting into a different position in the socket. And with this, we'd look for anywhere from 40 to 60 seconds of continuous repetition. You can set a timer on the phone, or if you've got a stopwatch. And we're just moving through for upwards of a minute here, getting the ball to unlock and getting the shoulders to be a little bit more mobile. So for our next exercise here, we're gonna be working with what we call a pull apart. And we're gonna start with that elastic band just kind of straight in front of the body. And here we're just gonna work on pulling it apart. And the pull apart is gonna get us really into the rotator cuff area here. We're working across the whole ridge line of the shoulders here. And we've talked about how a lot of the positions that we find ourselves in our modern lifestyle close up the front of the joint here and get the muscles in the front of the shoulder very snug. So the pull apart's able to really address that and get a good amount of stretch and length in the front as we're getting the contraction in the muscles behind. So the same thing here, we usually go for about 40, 45 seconds minimum, upwards of 60 seconds maximum. So you can really see along this whole area here, this is where the muscles are shortening and working into a contracted position to make sure we're targeting the upper part of the spine where those rotator cuff muscles live. The cue we like to give is imagine there's a pencil between your shoulder blades and we're trying to squeeze that pencil and not let it fall. That's going to ensure that both sides of the rotator cuff get maximal contraction and activation evenly and get us prepared to play. So for the next movement in our upper body series, we're now going to be thinking about working a pulling action that's going to take the shoulder blades or the scapula into a more depressed position. What we often find is that as we do some stuff, say maybe over a computer in life, as the muscles begin to fatigue and take over, the shoulder blade will often rise into an elevated position that gets a lot of stickiness in the head and neck area. Some people might feel like they can't even get good range of motion in their neck. So we're gonna attempt to bring the shoulder blade down into depression to get us into a pulling action that's gonna help with better shoulder mobility. Okay, so here we can see that we've got the band attached to a higher point here. This could be, oftentimes I've driven a nail into the top of a door frame and we can bend it up to get a little hook, or if we have an area where we can insert this into a doorway or anywhere. We're gonna be working here from a high to low angle. So we're gonna have Dr. Mitra pull, and as he pulls, he's bringing his arms in this direction where he's starting from face level and beginning with the hand, or finishing with the hands down to your chest level. Now we can see here that this is gonna be bringing the shoulder blades into that more depressed area where we're squeezing down the spine, and that's gonna really help with bringing a lot of openness to the front of the shoulder capsule. So as he squeezes the shoulder behind, it opens up the front a little bit to get more range when we do our racket sports. So we're not so concerned about the position of the hands or the width of the grip. You can go whatever feels most comfortable for you, as long as we're able to work in that high to low action and get the squeeze in the mid to upper part of the spine. At the bottom, at the ending position, that's really what we need the most. So we want to take the shoulder blades and bring them together and drive down the spine. So we got that nice and flat. This is open. That's it. So we're moving high to low down the spine. Squeeze, open in the front. So we hope you enjoyed what you saw in our video today. We'd like to thank Dr. Meacher for joining us today and helping get through some of these exercises.
Yeah, and I think this has really been helpful for me. These will definitely, I could feel how these would be very useful for me to get ready to best play pickleball, get warmed up and ready to go.
And that's it, is the stuff that we covered today can either be done at home before you leave to go play pickleball, or if you get to the court and you realize I'm a little stiff after driving in the car to get there, then you can do these movements on court before you get out and get going in a match.